Hello and welcome to Global Insight, where we update you on the latest events around the world. I'm Joy Adesuwa Iromoseli. In the main stories making global headlines right now, at least 6 Palestinians killed, 30 injured in latest fight with Israel. Azerbaijan launches operation against Nagorno-Karabakh and demands surrender. Joe Biden urges world leaders to stand with Ukraine. We begin Global Insight today in the Middle East, where Israeli military operations in the occupied West Bank and unrest in the Gaza Strip have killed 6 Palestinians early today. This is the latest spike in a wave of violence that has roiled the region for more than a year. According to Palestinian health officials, the death toll from the most recent flare-up stood at 4 late on Tuesday. But today, the Palestinian Health Ministry raised it to 6, stating that the Israeli raid into the Jenin refugee camp in the northern West Bank killed 4 people and wounded 30 others, while in the raid in a separate refugee camp killed another Palestinian. A 6th Palestinian was also killed by Israeli fire in unrest in the Gaza Strip. The deadly violence between Israel and the Palestinians over the last year and a half has surged to levels unseen in the West Bank in 2 decades. Israel has stepped up its raids on Palestinian areas, and Palestinian attacks against Israelis have since been mounting. There was no immediate comment from the Israeli military about the raid in the Aqabat Jabir refugee camp near the Palestinian city of Jericho, which has emerged as one of the focal points of Israel's raids. The army stated that forces carried out a rare strike on Tuesday with a suicide drone during the operation and exchanged fire with gunmen in Jenin. While leaving the camp, the army said an explosive detonated underneath an army truck as gunmen opened fire, damaging the vehicle. No soldiers were injured. And now the Azerbaijan anti-terrorism military measures in Nagorno-Karabakh are now continuing for a second day after it launched what it described as anti-terror operations in the area on Tuesday. The president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, stated that these measures will not stop until ethnic Armenian separatists surrender. Tensions in the South Caucasus have been high for months around the breakaway enclave, recognized internationally as part of Azerbaijan. In a statement this morning, Azerbaijan's defense ministry disclosed that military equipment belonging to the Armenian armed forces had been neutralized, including military vehicles, artillery, and anti-aircraft missile installations. On Tuesday, the Azerbaijan capital, Baku, ordered illegal Armenian military formations to hand over arms and dissolve their illegal regime. Azerbaijan and Armenia first went to war in the early 1990s after the fall of the Soviet Union. Then, in 2020, Azerbaijan recaptured areas in and around Nagorno-Karabakh before a truce was agreed and monitored by Russian peacekeepers. Ethnic Armenians in Karabakh appealed on Tuesday for a ceasefire and for talks to start. But it was clear from the Azerbaijani ultimatum that Baku's aim was to complete its conquest of mountainous enclave. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan accused Azerbaijan of starting a ground operation aimed at ethnic cleansing. But hundreds of Armenian protesters, frustrated by their country's response, clashed with police outside parliament in Yerevan, condemning their leader as a traitor and calling on him to resign. In another development, India expelled one of Canada's top diplomats on Tuesday, ramping up a confrontation between the two countries over Canadian accusations that India may have been involved in the killing of a Sikh separatist leader in suburban Vancouver. India, which has dismissed the accusations as absurd, insisted that the expulsion came amid growing concerns at the interference of Canadian diplomats in their internal matters and their involvement in the anti-Indian activities. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau appeared to try to calm the diplomatic clash on Tuesday, stating that Canada is not looking to provoke or escalate. According to him, Canada is simply laying out the facts as understood by them and want to work with the government of India to lay everything clear and to ensure there are proper processes, adding that India and the government of India need to take their matters with utmost seriousness. Earlier, Trudeau had stated that there were credible allegations of Indian involvement in the slaying of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a 45-year-old Sikh leader who was killed by masked gunmen in June in Surrey outside Vancouver. But India insists that Hardeep, a Canadian citizen born in India, had links to terrorism, an allegation he denied before his death. Canada has yet to provide any evidence of Indian involvement, but if true, it would mark a major shift for India, whose security and intelligence branches have long been significant players in South Asia and are suspected in a number of killings in Pakistan. But arranging the killing of Canadian citizens in Canada, home to nearly 2 million people of Indian descent, would be unprecedented. Elsewhere, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi stated yesterday that his country will never give up its right to have peaceful nuclear energy and urged the United States to demonstrate in a verifiable fashion that it wants to return to the 2015 nuclear deal. Addressing the annual high-level meeting of the UN General Assembly, Raisi disclosed that the American withdrawal from the deal trampled on the U.S. commitment and was an inappropriate response to Iran's fulfillment of its obligations. Iran has long denied ever seeking nuclear weapons and continues to insist that its program is entirely for peaceful purposes. But UN nuclear chief Rafael Grossi said in an interview with the Associated Press that the Iranian government's removal of many cameras and electronic monitoring systems installed by the International Atomic Energy Agency makes it impossible to give assurances about the country's nuclear program. Also, Iranian and Tajik presidents in a meeting stressed increasing commercial and economic interactions between the two countries. Raisi, who is in New York to take part in the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly, met with his Tajik counterpart Emomali Rahmon on Tuesday, expressing concerns about the presence and activities of terrorists in Afghanistan. The two presidents also emphasized the necessity of holding joint meetings of foreign ministers of neighboring countries to increase coordination in the fight against terrorism and to establish stability in Afghanistan. Raisi and Rahmon considered the non-interference of foreigners in the issues of regional countries to be essential in creating stable security. The presidents of Iran and Tajikistan emphasized using the capacity of the Joint Economic Commission to increase the level of commercial and economic interactions between the two countries. And finally, on Global Insights today, U.S. President Joe Biden appealed to world leaders at the UN General Assembly on Tuesday to stand with Ukraine against Russian invaders, hoping that Republicans in Congress will also take notice. In a speech, Biden stated that Russia believes that the world will grow weary and allow it to brutalize Ukraine without consequence. And if Ukraine is allowed to cave up, then the independence of any nation is not secure. He added that the U.S. and its allies would stand with Ukraine's fight for freedom, stating that Russia alone bears responsibility for the war and also holds the power to end it immediately. Biden's address at the annual gathering was the centerpiece event of the three-day visit to New York, which will include meetings with the heads of state of 5 Central Asian countries and the leaders of Israel and Brazil. Biden, a Democrat, has made rallying U.S. allies to support Ukraine, arguing that the world must send a clear signal to Russian President Vladimir Putin that he will not be able to outlast the West. Biden has faced criticism from some Republicans who want the U.S. to spend less money on the war effort. And that's it on Global Insights today. Many thanks for staying with us. I'm Joy Adesuwa Eramasele. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is Voice of the People TV, and on all the social platforms at VOP TV Live. Good afternoon.